And Kristina is one of those people who is incredibly, not only just talented, but also generous. She has been supporting programs at Sybil for many years.
9 years.
9 years.
June was my 9th anniversary.
Wonderful. So bravo, Kristina. And then people like Kristina, people like you very often accelerate your job search, accelerate the achievement of your goals. Kristina is, like I said, multifaceted career coach, book author. She works with a lot of nonprofit organizations. She creates nonprofit organizations like the Women's Mosaic, right, that supports intercultural communication and understanding. She works with other organizations and provides coaching and training throughout New York City and other parts of the country and the world. So today, Kristina will talk about how to shine, right? And today we'll be learning how do we shine in any type of situations, but especially those of you who have career goals on your mind will be able to take away a lot of fantastic gold nuggets of information from Kristina. So without further ado, please help me welcome Kristina Leonardi.
What an introduction. And the library offers so many amazing resources, so if you're not already in the loop with what they're doing. How many people are on the list already and that's how you found out about this? I'm just curious. About half. How many people are on my list or come before? A few people? Hi. And what about the rest of you? I didn't know about this.
Library.
Friend, word of mouth.
Meetup.
Website, meetup. Okay, cool. So if you've seen me, the few of you that have seen me speak before, you know how I start. Now, I know that you guys have been waiting very patiently, and I know that you just got settled into your seats. Please do not hate me, because I'm going to ask you to stand up right now. Okay, so stand up. And Ari, do you hold going on? Okay, so I just want you to close your eyes, and let's just take some deep breaths, okay? So close your eyes, take a big inhale, and then just exhale it all out. Another big inhale. Out, another inhale. Just relaxing now, some regular breaths with your eyes closed. So I just want you to just be present. It's the middle of the day. I don't know if you come from work or you're in your job search, whatever stresses of the day, I want you to leave them outside the room. I want you to leave all of your job titles, your title as a mother or a wife or a friend or a husband or an uncle. Leave those titles outside the room and just you be present. Just get connected to yourself. Feel the feet, feel the ground on your feet. And just connect all the way down to the center of the earth. And just take another couple breaths. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. And have a seat. So much better. Right?
Yes.
So if you take nothing else away from my talk this afternoon, it's to remember to breathe. Okay? It's like doing a little mini refresh on yourself, right? We're running around, we got 5 million things going on, we got so many things coming at us from every which way. You just gotta take a breath sometimes, right? And this is also really important, especially with the topic that we're talking about today, authentic branding. And by the way, I just want to make sure you guys are not here for corporate branding or branding your business or anything like that. That's not this class, okay? You can maybe apply some of the things, but this is a very personal development kind of class. So what I like to recommend to everyone, especially if this is the topic that we're talking about, is to take that time, especially in the morning, the first thing that you should do every day, check in with yourself. So the first thing that you do, grab your cup of coffee, cup of tea, whatever it is, get up, sit with yourself. Maybe you have prayer, a mantra, affirmations, or just sit quietly, sip your tea, sip your coffee, maybe have some like nice music in the background with no words. And you can do it for 5, 10, 15 minutes is ideal because you want to set the foundation for your day. How many people here are in career transition? Okay, so right, because it's an afternoon class, so most of you guys are. Okay, so, but it's still a great way to start your day, right? Because you want to be in control of your time and your energy. You want to set the tone for the day. You want to be calm, composed. You want to think about what it is you want to accomplish for the day. What's your intention for the day? Like, take that time for yourself. And it's a way to really also just, some thoughts or feelings that have been brewing might show up. And so, pay attention to those, see what's going on. And then also, at the end of the day, I also like to recommend when you're transitioning from like your day to evening, what I like to do at that time is lay flat on my back. So, and there's something to that, like actually it does something to your nervous system. So I do a lot of things because they feel good, and then I find out there's some science that proves why it does that. So, I don't remember what the science is, but it has something to do with the nervous system. So I like to lay flat on my back and then let the day kind of drain off of me, right? Again, process, just let things sort of come off. Just again, do some deep breathing, check in with yourself, what are you processing, what happened. It's really for you to gain back and connect with gain back control of your time and your energy, connect to yourself, to know what you're thinking and what you're feeling, right? Not what you've been sort of influenced with or, been taken along for a ride all day with. So, because a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is knowing who you are and having the courage to be that person, and just some ideas about that. This is my talk, which I'm always, it's different every time I do it, so I'm not really sure what's going to come out today. And feel free to, if you have something to share, feel free to chime in. So first of all, thanks for all being here, because it is kind of nice out. Like, there's lots of different things you could be doing right now, but like, you guys are here, and so that actually says a lot. That says a lot that like there's something in you that's like ready to like make a change, or like you're in this like change time and you're ready to like really just kind of break free with yourself. Does that feel right with you guys? Is that so? Like, yeah, I was like, oh, there'll be like 10 people here during lunchtime summer thing. So it's great. It's a full Facebook. It's a full room. So yeah, and I mean, as you can see, I was just telling Marzena and Sharon, I mean, we're in very transformational, transitional times. You see what's going on sort of macro with the world and governments and institutions and things like that. And so we're also affected on a micro level, so individuals. Like, we're all in a process of major transformation. And so what I was just saying to them is like, if you resist the change, that's where the suffering is going to come. So like, at this point, just forget trying to go back to the way that things were. It's just never going to be the same. And so somehow you got to make peace with that. And I know that's not easy, right? We're humans. We are creatures of comfort and routine and familiarity. Like, this is where we want to be, but it's like, no, sorry. That's just not cutting it anymore. And so you have to make peace with that and understand that whatever is coming, like, you can have a part in creating that, right? So you can have a part in creating, so that's very empowering, right? If you think about it that way. So often we think when changes are supposedly imposed upon us, you feel like a victim, you feel like, oh, I don't. But, since you guys are all in career transition, and I do a lot of talks about this, I do a talk, who are you, what are you supposed to be doing with your life, and I do a talk called Job Loss, or staying motivated throughout the job search, and pink slips, how losing your job is a good thing. Because here's the deal. You really are honest with yourself. The last job that you had where you got laid off or fired, how much did you really want to be there? See the room. So how many people really didn't want to be there anyway?
Or left on your own accord.
Because you're like, I'm done. Yes. So again, Facebook, majority of the people. So, yeah. So it's like, and what happens is, you probably weren't supposed to be there. Probably wasn't the best fit for you. But you get too lazy, too complacent, too scared to make a move on your own. But at some point, rubber's going to hit the road, and the universe is like, yeah, no time. And it'll, like, kind of do it for you. So if any of you here are dealing with sort of issues of anger or frustration, or still kind of hanging on to this thing that you had, then you really got to let that go. Because it was supposed to end. And so to really just be at peace with that, I think, is the first step. Because otherwise you're just blocking yourself, right? And you're not going to really be able to move forward. And also you're going to carry that energy with wherever you go. Like, so whoever you're talking to as a candidate for jobs, like, you're going to bring this sort of like, victim, frustration, anger with you, and people subconsciously pick that up. So you want to just let it go, make peace with it, forgive whoever did whatever to you, because thank you, you gave them a freedom. I can move on now, okay? Right? So this is an opportunity to do a real refresh, right? So it's a full-on refresh of your life, right? Because this is an opportunity to make the changes that you needed to make all along. Thank you. And so this is thank you. So this is an opportunity to make the changes that you needed to make all along, and to realign yourself with who you are. Because probably what happened is you kind of went on a little bit of a tangent, right? You sort of went offline a little bit about being your authentic self, right? And being who you are, doing things that really matter to you, and doing things where you can develop your talents or utilize your talents, or really engage with your, do something that you're passionate about and find fulfilling, right? You kind of veered away from that for a lot of different reasons, whether they were outside factors, family pressures, peer pressure, societal pressure. I know you got to pay the bills, but there's always a way to make it work where you can get something out of what you need in addition to the paycheck. So that's not the talk that we're really doing today, but you always want to make sure that the decisions that you make mean something to you, right? It's not just because you have to, or you have a lot more power than you think you do, okay? And to remember that, and to do things where, like, there's a connection to the job, to the experience, to maybe just to the hours. Like, the hours are going to fit what I need, because I want to do this other thing. So this structure of this job, okay, I might not love that, but it gives me the opportunity to do the thing that I do love. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, but you won't know all that unless you sort of make that commitment to yourself that you're only going to do the things that feel right to you, that are authentic to you, that mean something to you. You have to make that commitment to yourself. So already I'm totally off my script. I don't even know what am I talking about? So yeah, so it's about, letting go of your past persona. This is a big one. Past personas. Like I'm just telling you, we're really at this very, very critical time that we really got to let go of some old stuff. Family patterns, your own, whatever it is, you have to really get to a place where you can let go of these things. And I hate the word reborn or whatever, it sounds so whatever, but it's because it's not even really being reborn, it's like finally being who you are. Right? So letting go of all those masks that weren't quite you anyway. Yeah. So we're going to talk about, and also just sort of like what's in your heart, right? So there's, we live in a very left brain practical world, and I understand that you need that left brain survival skills, and this is the world that we live in, but we've got to also honor our hearts, you know, and what feels good. To me, and this gets a little meta also, it's like, because people, you know, just think about it, if everyone was feeling good and happy and at peace with themselves and at peace with what they do, as much as you can be, right? I mean, we live in, it's less than 80% of the time, like you can go for 80-20, that's pretty good. Think about how much more pleasant, like, your subway ride would be, you know, there would be less divorce, right? There would be, you know, less crime. So it's really important that we all take responsibility for this, the sort of, the cliche, let peace begin with me, because we all affect one another. So I just think that so many people have denied themselves, you know, what they really want. You know, people have denied themselves their true feelings. Anybody following? People are, you know, have denied themselves their true desires, their feelings, what they really want, and that takes its toll. It takes a toll psychologically, mentally, physically. It takes a toll, right? So the more that you repress who you are and the things that you love and the things that, you know, you want to create or experience, like that's gonna give you migraines. It's gonna, you know, give you gallstones. I mean, it's gonna affect your physical body. So, you know, and also you're gonna start blaming other people for your problems, or you're gonna take it out on other people. So you see how this affects. To me, in my opinion, one of the reasons why we have such a polarized, icky society at the moment is because a lot of people are in pain and frustrated with their own lives, and it's just coming out in all these sort of ways, right, that are not healthy and negative. And so, again, the more you take responsibility for your own peace and healing and creative expression, you're not gonna want to blame. You're not gonna care about other people. So you're not gonna blame other people. Does that make sense? Yeah. So this is why also I think it's just so important. I mean, last night I actually had a session with a client in Japan. So this is the beauty of technology, right? So in a Skype session with someone halfway across on the other side of the world. And she was so interesting because she's Japanese, her parents are Japanese, but her mother was a psychologist and noticed at a young age that the kids that went to the Japanese school were not very happy, right? So Japanese culture, you know, is a certain kind of culture, a very conformist kind of culture. And so she decided to put her in an international school. So, which is, you know, completely more like an Americanized education and approach. And so she did that in Japan, went to an international school, then I think came to the States for boarding school, did a degree at NYU, and then had some work visa issues, so she had to go back to Japan. And that was a reverse culture shock, right? Because now you gotta like kind of fit back into this culture that you're supposed to be a part of. So anyway, I'm sort of making this longer than it needs to be, but so then she decided to get her MBA, which she did in a Japanese MBA program, which was really hard because she had done all her schooling sort of in English, and so that was a big fitting herself into something that wasn't really her at that point, but it was, you know, good. And then she ended up working for a Japanese company. Again, Japanese companies have very specific kind of culture. And now she's in an American company that has an office in Japan, so it's good. But really, my whole point in telling you this is that she really wants to start her own fashion brand. And when we started talking about what she really wants, the reason why she came to me because she was stuck and she was not happy. And so when we went through the process, the thing that was going to make her happy was doing this fashion brand idea. And my point in sharing this is because she started crying, right? So it was very emotional because it was like she hadn't acknowledged what would really make her happy, because she was just trying to practically figure out, well, how do I do that? And I've never started, but meanwhile, she has an MBA, she worked for a small business, she worked for a startup, she worked for a 17,000 person company, she's worked in various different aspects of the business, she's created brands for those businesses, okay? So it's not like she's telling me like she taught kindergarten and now she wants to do this, right? There's a related experience that she has there, but the point of all this was that, you know, when she finally acknowledged what she really wants, she broke down, you know, because this is we try to, and you know, because for the past 10 years she was trying to make herself fit into something that she's not. And this is my whole point of this, is that it takes a toll. It's much easier to just be who you are and to follow your heart, and we need the balance of being practical as well as being the dreamer. But in my experience and observation is most people are way heavy on the practical left brain side and never listen to their heart, or think it's completely irrelevant and would never see the light of day. But that's super imbalanced. So you got to figure out a way, you know, to figure out a way to express that, even if it's not, like I said, a full-time situation. But figure out a way to do the thing that your heart wants to do, whether you get paid for it or not. Because this is the thing that's going to make you happier, more peaceful, and it's going to make you better at whatever job that you're at, because you're not going to be miserable, right? You're going to understand why you are where you are. And you're going to take that job for the reasons that, you know, that are benefiting you, whatever those reasons are. So, that's not anywhere on the list.
Yeah.
Okay, so, let's see. All right, definition, authentic. So the definition of authentic is like undisputed origin, genuine. Yeah, so, you know, legitimate, like you want made or done in a traditional way, original, reliable, accurate, right? Just these are just some concepts, because we're talking about authentic branding. An existential philosophy, relating to or denoting an emotionally appropriate, significant, purposive, and responsible mode of human life. It's a good one. Relating to or denoting an emotionally appropriate, significant, purposive, and responsible mode of human life. That's what we're going for. So yeah, we talked a little bit about this already. Why are these concepts important? Why should we be authentic? So, like I was just talking about, like personal fulfillment, right? You want to create a foundation of ease and enjoyment, and this affects every area of your life. So even if whatever it is that you decide to do, it's stressful, it's frustrating, it's a lot of work, there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of risk, okay. So, that's life. And at least the stress and the uncertainty, at least it's for something that you care about, right? If you can be stressed out, make it be something stressed out that means something to you, right? So yeah, so it really kind of, you know, what you want to grease, you know, you want to go with the flow, and you want to sort of grease the way, and just, you know, not question or doubt it. So another reason why this is important is because of, you know, these things, right? So we have to be very careful. We're losing our humanity, and we don't want to become robots, and we don't want everything to be this digital, virtual world. So we need to be really aware. I mean, and I think that technology is changing our brains and how we operate in ways that we don't even, we're so in it, we can't even see how we're changing, right? So, you know, so like I said, this is extraordinary times, and you know, the online world can confuse us. I mean, really, like Instagram, you know, like, what are people posting? How are they framing themselves? You know, you're seeing like the highlight of the highlights that is like a little snapshot at a certain angle with the best lighting and a filter on it, and it makes them look like this great life. And you know that's not the reality 100% of the time, if any, okay? So, but we get tricked, right? We get tricked, so we're like looking at all this social media stuff and we're thinking, oh my God, everyone's got these amazing lives and I'm like the biggest loser ever, I feel life, right? It's not true. You gotta be realistic and you have to be discerning with yourself when you're looking at that stuff and monitor, like be aware of how it's affecting you. And also, you know, is the stuff positive? Is the stuff making you feel excited and inspired, or is it just making you feel bad about yourself, right? So pay attention to what you're looking at. It's really powerful stuff. Yeah, and I mean, it's, you know, it's like, and how many times, I'm sure you can all think of examples of people that, you know, maybe you knew them or didn't know them before, but you see their like online persona, and then you meet them in person, and you're like, wait, is this the same person? It's happened to me so many times, right? Especially in online dating, right? But really, so, like, you can't go by this. You can't go by this. Most people, I have no statistics. I don't know, so I don't know if it's most people, but a lot of people, right? You know, their in real life versus their virtual thing is like so different. So it's up to you. Like, I like to try to be as much myself no matter where I'm at, right? So the way that I'm talking to you now is pretty much the way I talk to my one-on-one clients. It's pretty much the way I talk to my friends, or if I'm at a party, or at the store. You know, this is just, it's easier. I don't have to have all these different personas. And online, you know, I try to be as authentic as possible as well. You know, I mean, as a business, you know, a self-employed business person, you have to do a certain amount of promotion, but even with that, so you want to show the highlights in what you're doing and, you know, be as authentic with that as well, because I've also seen other people that, you know, I know what the reality of their situation is, and what they're showing doesn't always jive, and that's a little false advertising to me, but anyway, so, oh yeah, and what's his face? Ken Burns, remember, you know Ken Burns, the documentary? He has a great quote. He says, virtual reality is to reality what reality television is to reality. So don't get tricked. Easy to get tricked, okay? Don't get tricked. Yeah. And also be aware of, you know, the dopamine hits that you're getting from social media and the distraction that it is, and it's taking you away from yourself. It's taking you away from spending that quality time with yourself in those 15 minutes that you say you don't have 15 minutes. You do have 15 minutes. See how much you're on Facebook for 15 minutes, okay? You know, and just use that time for that. And so and then it's just at the same time, like, people are craving authenticity, right? Because we're seeing all these, like, you know, celebrities, you know, Instagram whatever they are, the influencers, and you know, think about how you feel when you're with someone, whether it's a person in real life or a celebrity, or, and they're just they're just authentic, right? They're just who they are. It's like it's almost like the exception, right, rather than the rule. When you see someone that's just so comfortable in their own skin and so, like, present with themselves and just like, I don't care, whatever, this is who I am. Right? It's like we notice that because it's so rare. So, but I want to change that. I want all you guys to be like that. Okay? You know, and isn't that, you know, now because all the politics stuff and yada, 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 it's like, ooh, there's all this thing like, well, you know, they're down to earth. They're more authentic. Like, that's where, because we're humans. At the end of the day, humans connect to other humans. And so if you have layers and layers and masks and personas, like, how is anyone going to connect to you? How are you going to connect to anyone else? So, you know, again, the more you just let go of all that, you can be really real and really human and really have that connection that we're all looking for. I don't care who you are, where you come from, socioeconomic, I don't care who you are, we all need human connection. This is an epidemic in our lives, that loneliness is literally, like in England now, they have a minister of loneliness. Are you English? No? Anyone here English? No, there's a minister of loneliness, because this is like, it's like, I think it's even more than like depression or heart disease. You know, this is something that's becoming chronic, again, because of this technology and how it's changing, how we interact and communicate with each other. And so we have to be even more aware, you know, of how much we're connecting and how real we're being with people. We have to take even extra effort now. So, yeah, so it's really, really important. And why else should we be authentic? Oh yeah, because we all have a job to do, okay? So every single person in here is a unique combination, a very unique combination of skills, experiences, talents, interests, physical makeup, cultural background, racial identity. You're made up, but you're the only you. And like, if you think about that, it's kind of mind-blowing. Kind of mind-blowing. Which means that you can only do the job that you are supposed to do. No one else can do what you do. No one. So to me, the big job that you have is to figuring out what that job is. Because we all have a role to play. We all have an assignment, in my opinion, that we came here. Planet needs a lot of help. Humanity's kind of messed up right now. There's no reason. There's no coincidence that you are who you are at this particular moment in time in history on this planet Earth. What's your job? What is it that you're supposed to do? So even if that job is literally just your own healed life, and really work on that, remember what I said, we all affect each other. So if you're a healed person, you're bringing that peaceful, healed person to wherever you go. Right? And that affects them. Because remember, think about when it's the opposite. Think about when some toxic, angry, miserable person walks into a room. Do you feel it? Right? So you don't want to be that person. So even if that's your job, or maybe you're going to be the next Mother Teresa. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There's nothing too small. There's nothing too small. My other talk, I always talk about, I had for a while, it was funny, a string of like sort of people that came from a very Catholic background, and so they're like, oh, I'm just going to help the world, and that people always think immediately like nonprofits or something like that. But when I really get to the heart of the matter, like, they love fashion, right? Which, again, in a very superficial left brain kind of world, you think, oh, that has nothing to do with helping people, right? And you wouldn't think of that as like some charitable thing. Well, is anyone here naked? Right? Do you like the color of my blouse? Is it pretty? Is it cheering you up a little bit? Do you feel good when you go to an event and you feel you have a nice outfit on? Does it make you feel a little bit more confident? Right? Do we have special occasions where we need to look a certain way that, creates a certain environment or an atmosphere that's elevated? When it's the winter and you're freezing your butt off and you have a nice parka, are you happy to have that parka? Someone had to make it. Someone had to design it. Someone had to sell it, distribute it, get it to you. Right? If that's your thing, that's your thing. And yeah, are there idiots and horrible people in that industry? In every industry, but in every industry there is. Yeah, in every industry, everything's got their own culture, but like, so what? Then you be the one to change it. You be the exception to the rule. Like, if that's what's in your heart, if that's your gift, if that's, the thing that you're most passionate about, there's a reason. God bless the people that have never met an Excel spreadsheet that they don't like. Thank God for those people. Right? Like, because that's the farthest thing that I would want to be doing. But people love that stuff. Okay? How many people are those Excel people here? Not so much. Okay. But thank God for y'all. Okay? So yeah, so thank God for the people that like to organize and, you know, like just the stuff that you hate, you know, the whole expression like one man's pain is another man's pleasure, like it's true. And that's the beauty of the diversity of who we are as humans. And, you know, there's also, you know, what I talk about, there's no accident, like, you know, the gender, the race, the cultural, all of those things impact. So to get back to my Japanese client, you know, she wants, what the fashion brand that she wants to do has to do with taking like weavings and from different cultures to kind of like preserve them, because she had like a very, she had a social issues kind of mindset as well, but she didn't want to do NGO, but she had this very specific idea. And you know, I said, there's no accident that you're this dual cultural person, right? And so what did she do? How did she play when she was a kid? She was really into doing tea ceremonies, right? And you guys know now, because of Marie Kondo, whatever, the whole like what sparks joy, right? But there's a whole tradition in Japanese culture about like physical objects having such meaning and imbued with. So, you know, it just, you know, there's a reason why she's Japanese, you know, like, but then she really had this sort of more Americanized experience. And so all of these things come into play, and even just like your physical size. I mean, you know, I was talking about like, nobody ever believes this, but I'm actually an introvert, okay? I'm an introvert. I used to be very shy. I'm not as shy anymore, but I always wanted to hide. Like, I always wanted to be in the background, so I would like stage manage things, I'd produce events, right? I would never, the fact that I'm up here standing seems a little crazy to me. But guess what? I'm 6 foot tall. I'm like 6'2", probably with the heels. Like, it's really hard for me to hide. Not easy for me to hide. Not easy for me to blend in. So at some point I had to make peace with that and embrace it and be like, oh, I guess I was this for a reason. Yeah, right? You know, it's a little bit easier for me to command some attention. Right? And so however you're made up, every single aspect of it, it's there for a reason, and you have to just own it, embrace it, accept it, and love it. And that's the hard one for people, right? Accepting and loving it. But that's the place that you got to get to, because remember what I said, remember when you meet those people, you see those people who think, like think about who do you think are some of the most beautiful people in your life? Whether you know them or, you know, celebrities, it's a little bit harder to tell because there's lots of going on there, you know. But, so let's, you know, there's lots of tricks of the trade. But just think about the people who you think are beautiful. And what's the thing about them? They might not be like the most physically characteristic, and they could be older, they might not have this perfect body, but there's something about them because they love themselves, right? They take care of themselves, they're comfortable in their own skin, they present themselves in a way that shows that they care about themselves. Like, that's what makes them beautiful. Like, if you really think about it, that's what makes them beautiful. So the self-love part, again, I believe is an epidemic in our country of like just getting to the place where you know who you are, own that, accept it, and really love it. Who's Lizzo? I just discovered this artist Lizzo. So I think, and I don't know enough about her to talk so much about it, but what I take away is just, oh, she's worked on some self-love, that girl. And that's what she's putting out to the world. Love yourself. And it's, you know, it's a process, because again, this is just an epidemic. This is how we are humans, you know. Most of us were like dysfunctional people raising dysfunctional people, right? You know? And then you go to work and there's all dysfunctional people like your bosses and your coworkers. We're all dysfunctional, right? So this is why it's so important for people to take care of their own well-being and healing and love, because that's when you are like, this is who I am, I love it, take it or leave it. Right? Yeah, so why else? Okay, so connection and kindness, I talked about that. So when we're more connected to ourselves, it's much easier to connect with other people and to have empathy and, you know, to have the courage of convictions. it helps all around. Also helps, it gets rid of anxiety and fear, right? So you're just like, and that's a practice, trusting yourself, trusting that this is right for me, this is who I am, this is what I know to do. I know everybody thinks I'm crazy, but this I know is what's right for me, right? What else? Collective, I kind of talked about this. Right, so you can kind of see what's going on with this sort of mob mentality, right? Mob mentality, groupthink. I guess on Twitter, anybody on Twitter? It wasn't my field, that's on Twitter. But, you know, assassination by Twitter is like a thing. And, you know, people just want to, and, you know, or you just pick up whatever you're picking up and just not think for yourself, right? Or you're just, you know, media is so powerful. So no matter what media it is, you've got to make sure you're thinking for yourself. That you're not just absorbing and digesting whatever is spoon-fed to you. This is what they want, right? Big man, whatever, the big scary boogeyman out there. Like, that's what they want, because then guess what? You can be manipulated. You can buy. You buy what they tell you to buy. You can vote the way, you know, they want you to vote. No. Think for yourself, right? You got to get back your power, and the way that you do that is, again, going back to this: you know who you are, you accept who you are, and you know, you make your own opinions. Make your own opinions. Here I have this lovely quote. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. That's the art of war. So, you know, if you know that you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Okay, so it's about the more present you can be with yourself, the more observant you can be in understanding of other people and accept them and see also through their BS, right? So yeah, okay, so I talked a little bit about knowing who you are, your identity, all those different things that play in to who you are, the different characteristics that I mentioned before. Just a little mantra, like, be who you were created to be, not conditioned to be. Be who you were created to be, not conditioned to be. And again, that conditioning can be from immediate family, from culture, you know, from society, from peer groups, whatever it is. But be who you were created to be, not conditioned to be. And if you're not sure who you are, my advice is always to date yourself, okay? Because think about it, when you're getting to know someone, what do you want to do? You want to, like, spend time with them. And when I say spend time, you want to spend quality time with yourself. That doesn't mean binge watching Game of Thrones or Real Housewives, you know, drinking wine and eating bonbons. Like, that's not quality time with yourself, okay? We need that to do that once in a while, perhaps, but you know, now the weather's getting nicer, spend time with yourself, journal, and, you know, go to the beach, go to the woods, take yourself to lunch, take yourself to the movies. You get to choose the movies. You get to choose the restaurant. Like, what do you want to do? What do you like? What do you don't like? Figure it out. You've got to spend the time with yourself, spend quality time with yourself, and see what you like, see what you get excited about. What makes you feel expansive? What makes you feel kind of like, But you got to know, you got to experience and experiment to know if you haven't done it already. If you don't already know, and I do work with a lot of people that don't know because, again, they've been maybe living for everybody else, like taking care of everybody else's needs, or putting everybody else before them, or dedicating, like being a martyr at work, or, you know, whatever it is, and you completely lost who you are. You don't know what's going on with you. So you might need to even just take some time for yourself to do that. And now that you guys are all, most of you in here, you have the time, okay? You have time now. You have the time. So that's part of your job search, is who am I? What am I about? What do I want? And then also taking the time to do the things that you can't do when you're working full time, right? And making making sure you're doing that. So yeah, and obviously, and then if you're stuck, you can always work with someone like me, right? So what happens 90%, 95% of the time, people are stuck, they're coming to me, and they're not sure what they want to do, or they think they don't know what they want to do, and then I have a conversation with them, and they know exactly what they want to do, right? Except they're too afraid to admit it, or to say it out loud, or think it's completely impossible. Or they really don't know, they really have lost themselves, and then the work that we do is to get them to find themselves again, and then we can kind of go from there. But most of the time, people, you know, you guys know, what did you play as a kid? Like, what did you naturally play? What did you want to be when you were 8 or 9 years old? If you had no money, if you had no need for money, if you had no need for money, then like you could do anything you want, what would you be doing? Like, there's information there. We just, have blocked it. So there's ways, that I could work with people to help you tap into that. Oh yeah, so I talked about the acceptance and love, and if you don't like yourself, why would you want to be yourself, right? Or why would anyone want to be with you, right? The same. And then, you need to have the courage to do that. So, like I said, now you can figure out who you are, and you're like, this is so different than how I was. That means like all my people are going to change. They can be like, who are you, right? If you're going to change, then sometimes that means letting go of people and situations that really don't resonate with who you are. And you have to kind of be prepared for that. Some people will change and come along with you, and some people won't. And you have to, again, be okay with that, right? Oh, yeah, I have this thing. So it's Pride Month, right? Which I think that's like a very nice example of like being authentic, right? So many thousands, millions of people couldn't be who they were for such a long time. So right now we've got a celebration of that. So, whether you are in the LGBTQ plus community or not, you can sort of embrace this, I'm just being who I am, right? Take the energy of that's happening right now. I think is a beautiful thing, right? To be like, this is just who I am. I used to say, when Caitlyn Jenner, when she transitioned, that was the whole point of the Kardashians. That's what I thought, because I thought, what, really? And then, yes, Bruce Jenner was famous in his own right, but with the Kardashian thing, like, how many more people knew him aware, you know what I mean? So to me, that's such a great example. Like, whether you like him or not, or whether you like her or not, first of all, the courage, right? Such a public person at a certain age to like finally be who they are in front of like the whole world. But then also like, well, I think that was her job, right? That was her job, to be this Olympic athlete, world famous Olympic athlete, and then be part of this world famous family, for what I'm not sure, but sorry. Although Kim is getting together now. But to, right, how many more people can be exposed and have that be a little bit more accepted on some level, right? But my point about that is also like the courage, right? The courage to be yourself. That's such an extreme example, right? An extreme example of being yourself, changing your gender all the way to the physical part. That's pretty intense. But like, what kind of self-love and courage and understanding of yourself do you have to know to do that? So, yeah. So, all right, what's the time? Okay. Well, we're done at what time? 1:30?
Yeah.
I usually do this at 6, so I'm a little like discombobulated. Okay, I'm usually in the evenings. Any questions or comments so far? I really thought no one would be here today.
I have a surprise. So
It's a full house, okay?
talking a little bit
probability that you hire if you look for jobs in here instead of looking for jobs in what you really want to do. What's the best way to find that balance? Because that's the challenge. It's really the biggest challenge.
Absolutely. It is a challenge, but you, like, where there's a will, there's a way, and I feel like if you have this awareness now, and if you really want to commit to whatever it is that you want to commit to, like, you'll find a way to make it work. And I also believe, this might be a little woo for everybody, but it's like if you make that commitment, like, the universe conspires to help you. So there's an exception to every rule, and also here's the risk, right? So yeah, it's a risk to go into the unknown, to follow your heart, or however you want to describe that. But it's also a risk not to. It's also a risk not to. Because what's going to happen, likely, is, okay, so you say, I can't do that, or I'm too afraid, or it's not going to work, blah, blah, let me just do this thing that I've been doing all along, blah, blah, blah. You're going to be back here in like 2 years.
Great follow-up.
Get an amen.
So I've quit so many jobs because they're usually impressed with the presentation and they say the right thing, and I take the job and it's dysfunction as you described. And I've become an expert at like job interview coaching, because of the many interviews I've been on. So aside from a website, do you have any encouragement or tips for how would you approach something that you've never done but you know you're great at?
So you want to be like an interview
job
coach?
interview coach. I give you the answer to your, like if you were going for a job interview, I can.
There are coaches that do that.
Oh.
I mean, yeah. I mean, so if you go, I'm a coach on the Muse as well. Do you guys know the Muse? It's a website. So that's one of the. Do I do that service? I don't think I do that service. But mine is like stuck in the rut package. That's my specialty. I think that's that is a thing that people do. Like career coaches do that. So now making a living as a career coach, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Excuse me, did you say?
But I love what I do. I love what I do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You said you're coaching the stuck in the real package. What do you mean by that?
So my specialty is helping people. Like maybe you're in your job and you don't want to be there, or maybe you're in between jobs, you're not sure what you want, or you're just feeling stuck and you're not happy. I figure out what the root of that unhappiness is, and then we fix it. So some people are resume coaches, right? So they're a career coach. They help people with their resumes or their LinkedIn profiles or interview coaching. What else? I mean, to me, I call myself a holistic career coach because to me everything's connected. So your time and your energy is your most precious resource. It's the thing that you spend when you're at work. That's where you're spending your most time and energy, right? So to me, if that's off, everything else is going to be off. And vice versa. Your home life is going to affect your work life. So I get in there with you and I try to figure out what's going on, where you're stuck, and then make whatever the adjustments are and point you in the right direction, give you resources, tools, direction. Yes?
Yeah, I'm feeling some kind of way to your presentation, mainly because I've always been the authentic person. I am always true to myself, and that is a problem in the logic-based world. So what you're saying, yeah, you could be yourself, you could do whatever you want to do in life, but that doesn't often translate to the reality of what the job-seeking world, like I understood what this lady was saying. She says she's an expert at interviewing and giving the people what they say they want. Because what they say they want is somebody who is that presentation. When you come in there and you're really who you are, you lay it on the line, blah, 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 they don't want that. I have a problem with interviewing, the kinds of questions personality questions they ask you. Basically, they want people to be lambs or sheep. They want everybody to be like that. And if you're not like that, and they don't even want you to be creative. That's
what kind of industry, what kind of work are you talking about?
Well, there are two sides to me. I'm starting my own business, in fashion, plus size, streetwear brand, and I'm also looking for a job to support that that dream. So I always find that people always say they want somebody to be very individualistic because we live in America, land of the free. That is not true. When you were talking about the Japanese culture, I'm like, American culture is so much worse than that. Because they're always so rigid-brained people, and that's how the job search is too. I'm the opposite of her. I do not interview well because I am so totally myself in every situation. But employers, they say they want certain qualities, but in reality, when you interview, you're supposed to be this logic-minded person who talks a certain way and expresses themselves in a certain way and presents themselves in a total non-creative way.
That's not
And
the
so-
job for you.
Yeah, it agrees with everything.
Agree with everything.
Exactly. So it's one thing to know your authentic self, and then there's the real world. How do you?
So, I think it depends on, there's a lot of different variables and situations. And so I
Yeah.
think that if you're very clear about what you're getting the job for, and you know yourself obviously very well, and you know where you're gonna fit in and where you're not, don't, go looking for trouble. First of all, you know what I
Well,
mean?
that's impossible for me.
Then just focus on your
Just comes
business.
naturally.
Then just focus on your business, or then it's like, well, then maybe for you specifically, it's maybe looking at something, maybe it's something a little deeper, some experience that happened that you're like, the whole world's against me. And so you're going into every situation already with a preconceived notion, they're not gonna like me, they're gonna think
No,
I'm too
I don't feel that
blah.
way. I feel that most people are a certain way, and I don't want to break whoever they are, because that's natural to them.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that most of the world is not accepting of somebody who is over here when most people are over here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, but again, I feel like I said before, like where there's a will, there's a way, and a lot of how we can sort of approach a situation, and also, what I was gonna say before is that maybe, and I don't like to recommend this, but one solution is if you know you gotta answer the questions a certain way, then maybe because you're doing it as a means to this other end that you're working on, maybe you do make yourself fit in. I don't like that answer.
I've been doing that for 50 plus years. It does not work for me.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you now,
But
it doesn't
then,
work.
but then you have your answer, but then you have your answer. Then it's
Yeah.
just go full on your business, because that's what the universe is saying, no, just do this.
And I just get depressed when I have to go on the subway early in the morning, because I see that these people are employed, and I'm like, ugh, they feel depressing. It's like my heart just feels bad for them.
Right, so you have to just embrace your odd man outness, or your, like, and just.
I do embrace it. That's my whole point. I do embrace it. So how do you
Don't go for those
Forget it.
jobs. Yeah, don't go for those jobs. There's gotta be, maybe there's, someplace, a different scenario where maybe it's like a call center where it doesn't really matter, where your personality actually works for you because you can connect and relate to people. There's gotta be a way. And so for whatever reason, I just feel like you're just playing a loop, like you're self-fulfilling a prophecy, that, because you've had the experiences maybe so many times, which I'm sure is validated, but you've got to figure out a way to shift that trajectory and to let go of that past persona, I'm the difficult one, or nobody gets me, or I don't fit in, like to kind of be like, no, I'm gonna find a place where I'm actually gonna be perfect. And it's an internal shift. So, I know, let it digest, we can talk after. Yes?
This is a little different kind of question. Based on your experience in your coaching, what advice would you give to the 20-plus candidates running for the Democratic era?
Oh, to the political, that's a whole different.
What advice would you give, because, you know, certainly they're all come from different backgrounds and experiences, and they're trying to get support of the American people. Essentially, what they're asking us to do is hire them, right?
Yeah.
You know, the same way we're asking people to hire us. So, you know, in terms of your advice and being yourself and being authentic, what advice?
Well, I
would
think
you
that
give?
there is something called like a likable factor. Who do you want to have a beer with? Like, that's a thing in politics. And so, politics, I think, the good news, I think, is that politics is changing. Like, I think because of all the new people that are coming up that are more authentic and that don't play the game as much. So I think we're in a transitional time with politics where you still have to, because you're speaking to such a broad audience, so you can be yourself, but then you also have to sort of censor yourself a bit. But I think that the ones that do the best are the ones that people think are being themselves the most. I mean, would you guys agree with that? Like, the ones that you like the best are the ones that seem most themselves. As much as you can be in that situation, right? You know, I mean, look, if you're a brain surgeon, you can't, you know, be doing breakdancing in the OR, like, if that's your thing. You know, you've gotta, like, you gotta monitor, you gotta censor yourself. Like, there are certain, you have to be appropriate to the situation, and so, what I'm trying to do with you guys is that most people are on the other way of the other spectrum. And I'm trying to balance it out, right? To get more people to be more authentic so that all the workplaces become more diverse, so that it isn't more, you know, conforming, right? So the more of us that do this, and like I said, like with these younger candidates that come up that are, to me, they are very authentic, you know, and they're not entrenched in the BS of the way politics has been run, so they can be more authentic. So remember what I said at the very beginning? We're in a time of deep transformation, transition about how we do everything. And so, you know, this I think is part of it. This is part of it. And yes, the people, they want you to be lambs and sheep, like I said before, because they want you to buy what they want you to buy and do what they want you to do and vote for, you know, so it takes effort to be yourself, it takes courage, and it takes faith and trust in the process that you'll fit in somewhere, like you'll figure it out. I never said this was easy. The easy thing is to just kind of like sleepwalk a little and just go through motions. That's easy. That's easy. Yeah, you can have that life. You can have that life. You can just do that. But you guys are all here, so I don't think you guys want that life, right? But it takes work. It takes taking responsibility for yourself. That means you can't blame anybody, right? But that also means that, you know, you're not a victim, that you're empowered to make the things however long it takes, whatever the journey is, whatever you learn along the way. You know, you gotta start somewhere. You gotta start somewhere and try and adjust and adapt along the way. And it's not easy. It's what it is, the road less traveled for a reason, right? Because if it was that easy, everybody would do it. But you guys are here. So, any other burning questions? Let me see what else I got going on.
Age factor.
Just a quick one.
Age factor.
Excuse me?
Age factor.
Okay, I'll get to that. Yeah.
I kind of know what I want to do, because I've done a lot of different things, and I'm sort of like leaning in that direction, and slowly but surely, but I feel stuck. Basically because I don't know people in that industry very much, and I'm not sure where to go and what to do and that kind of stuff.
What kind of industry?
I want to go start producing music, basically, and I've got a really good ear for music, I really love music, and I can hear, really like young talent that's coming up, and would wanna manage them. I introduced myself to a band that, they're trying to manage themselves and they're not really good at it because they're musicians, so I'm trying to manage them and working with them. But I'm sort of like trying to go forward with this and I don't know how.
It sounds like you are going forward with it.
Maybe not enough, I don't know.
What, if you're honest with yourself, what do you think the block is?
She said it in her first sentence.
That you don't know other people?
Yeah, pretty much.
But you've already started managing this band.
Yes, and it's going very slowly, and I'm trying to work through that and stuff, but I guess I'm trying to like do that and also to try to make a living from it, so I'm also applying for jobs for stuff that I did in the past that I'm not really as passionate about as this, so I'm trying to decide, so I'm sort of like doing it all.
So, well, the music industry is obviously one of those, every industry has changed because of technology.
Right.
That's one of them. So,
Right.
I'm not an expert in that industry, but, there are associations and, associations of different aspects of the music industry. So we live in New York City, so you can attend maybe some of their conferences or events, which I know that they do have. Different parts of the industry, that's one way to meet people.
How would I find that? Just Google different music
Something
events?
called Google.
No, I know
So
that,
you can do,
Networking groups.
you could do
but
music conference New York City,
but, okay,
see what comes up.
okay.
Or
Yeah.
music
Pinpoint
association.
exactly the type of people that you're looking to
Right.
connect with
Right.
and look for
Well, I'm not
networking
really
groups, yeah.
sure about that, except,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, because it's all new to me, I've never done this before. I'm taking transferable skills, moving them over, but then you've gotta convince people that you can do it, and,
So you start to build a portfolio, so you have the one band that you're working for, produce one song, then learn it, it's like teaching yourself and doing research. You live in a world where there is technology and you're living in New York City, you're not in Dubuque, in like Cheyenne, Wyoming or something,
Right.
trying to do it, So, again, it's just chipping away at it, and if you have to do bookkeeping or whatever someplace else, okay, fine, that's fine. And then just, keep working on it, but it sounds like the limitations that you're putting on yourself are easily, you can get through those pretty easily. You live in New York City, there's technology, you have the passion, show something, show an example of what you can do, and let your work speak for itself, and see what happens. Not easy.
no.
Not easy. Nothing's easy, but that's okay. Like, you guys gotta be okay with this. Because, you have a choice. Be a zombie, sleepwalk, be conforming sheep, however you wanna position that, or go for what you wanna do. And the process of doing it is gonna require, doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that maybe, and just because that bookkeeping job will not suck the life out of you because you know why you're doing it. It's not the only thing. Do you see the difference? So, all right, let me just make sure I'm getting to everything else here that I have.
She had the question about ages.
Oh yes, ageism. Yeah, sucks. You gotta deal with reality.
Whatever you feel like, but you're not gonna get hired.
It sucks. It is what it is. I do think though, again, that's something that's changing because the whole baby boomer, like there's so many people aging and aging is a different thing than what it used to be. Like I think that won't be as much of an issue down the line. Yeah, like, okay, we're, now, you're like, great, what am I supposed to do? Like, but again, you gotta figure out, like, a lot of times, that sort of third act is recouping the things that you couldn't do the first two acts and reclaiming parts of yourself that weren't able to be expressed those first two acts, and or becoming the teacher. So because you have all that wisdom, experience, and knowledge, now that third act you give back, you share, you mentor, you use that expertise and that wisdom. I know AARP has, they have not internships, but like, what do they call them, but like, they have a thing where companies like pledge to hire a certain amount of older workers. So you can look on AARP's website to see what companies have committed to bringing in older workers. You know, look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. It is what it is, but you've gotta be the exception to the rule. Be the exception to the rule. Don't feed into the group thing, to the thing, be the exception to the rule. You know, again, remember what I said, it's like once you sort of do this work and can make that commitment, like, that's when like the woo-woo magic-y kind of stuff can happen. I know people hate to hear that, but you have to just, that's this whole like trust, right? Trust in yourself, because otherwise what's the point? Why are you here? If it wasn't possible, why you are who you are, you know? So one quick little exercise I think that's fun to do is I want everybody to take out your pen, okay? Because this is a good exercise. So I want you to write 3 adjectives that how you would describe yourself. 3 adjectives how you would describe yourself. Okay, 3 adjectives, just the first 3 that come to you. Okay, 3 adjectives that how you would describe yourself. First 3 that come to you. And then I want you to write down 3 adjectives of how you think other people would describe you. Other people, 3 adjectives how other people would describe you. So how many people got 3 out of the 3 matching? Like a half, maybe 1 whole combined. How many people got 2 matching? 4 or 5 people, basically. This is a full room. How many people got 1 matching? Okay, more. How many people got 0? So how do you feel about that? You see the difference? You see the work you need to do? Mm-hmm.
I don't really think it's a problem, seeing yourself differently than how other people see you, because I guess it's the same way as when you're with your family, you act one way, or when you're with a friend, you have a different type of relationship. So I think people are naturally harder on themselves than the way they may view others. So there may be.
So are your adjectives not kind to yourself, but you think other people
No.
are
I
better
said
at you?
good things about myself, but I'm harder on myself, meaning,
You expect more from yourself?
yeah, I'm always challenging myself. I'm always.
Can you share your adjectives with us?
Yeah. So the adjectives that I said for myself is fearless to some extent. Because I'm willing to try things. Knowledgeable and giving. And the adjectives that I said other people may think of me are leader, confident, and loyal.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily bad, but I wouldn't call myself that.
So here's
You know?
the next question for everybody. How do you want people to perceive you? How do you want people to perceive you? Because that's essentially what a brand is, right? So we're talking about authentic brand. So how is it that you want people to perceive you? And are you presenting yourself in all those different interactions where people would get that from you, you know? And that's choice, you know, that's a very personal choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for example, Coca-Cola, Coke is it, or Nike, just do it. How do all of us recognize all that? Because first they say it, and number two, they're consistent in repeating and repeating and repeating,
Okay, so those are this is not a business branding course, which is a bit different, but a brand is really like, how do you feel about something, right? What's the vibe that you get? Like, when you think about Nike, like, what's the feeling that you get? Like, doesn't really, like, the tagline maybe evokes a feeling or makes you, you know, they're trying to manipulate you, but, you know, a brand is really how you feel about something.
Okay, but when you said what you said, I think there is a very good relationship between the two that you said. I think they're both,
Yeah.
I think
Go
the only
ahead.
it's you who is thinking that they do not match, but when you read it, I
Well, I
think they
mean,
both match.
well, I thought you was looking for an identical match in words, like,
They do.
I was thinking of an idea, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying, because I
mean,
think that the
wouldn't call-
qualities of a leader is fearlessness, knowledgeable, and what's the
Right.
third one?
Giving.
Giving. So that makes you a good leader and courageous and all those things. So yes, there's
Yeah.
definitely a correlation,
Right. But I
but
would
this is just,
never call myself, I think that sounds like kind of like
so
an
maybe
ego
it's like the
type thing.
reverse, so maybe it's like the reverse thing of like
Yeah.
you thinking of yourself as a leader.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe you've never thought of yourself
I
as a
may
leader.
do things that a leader may do, but I would never call myself that. Like, it just seems kind of cocky. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a feminine issue.
Yeah, maybe so.
I mean, I think it's been a feminine issue for centuries.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I do those things all the time, like I
Alright,
read all the time.
this is a great example of the reverse, you gotta brand yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
You gotta own, ooh, I'm just getting goosebumps, you gotta own that, you are a leader. People respect you, they get you, so how are you going to own those leadership qualities and bring them out into the world even more?
Correct, excuse me. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
How in branding, how, you know, just do it, or whatever, because they say it, and that's what I was trying to say. You
Right.
have to say it to
Yeah.
everybody else to be said. But what you,
I got
the way I heard it, they're both the same, huh?
Right, but you have to make the acknowledgement within
Right.
yourself. So you have to say it to yourself, I am a leader.
Right.
So, right, just do it, you gotta say, what's your name?
Tawanda.
Tawanda, I'm a leader.
Yeah.
See, and
Yeah.
see, you see?
Yeah.
You see? What a reaction you had to that? We just had a breakthrough moment. Anybody else wanna share?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
So, at work, I'm in advertising, and when I receive a brief that doesn't quite feel right, or it's something not sitting right, I'll definitely, not challenge, but just bring up some holes, and I consider myself just very curious as far as human behavior, and just, that's been perceived as being like, oh, here goes Stacy again, like, you know, or just being difficult, and I try to present it in a really positive way, but it's like, there's always stuff that just sits there that looks so
Advertising
lazy.
is like the anti-authentic branding.
Yeah. But like, it's, you know,
But you're doing
I'm trying
what
to
you-
hold people responsible
Yeah.
to the brief that they wrote that I have to create work from.
Yeah,
And it's already starting from like a, what are you talking about, please? Do you know what I mean?
yeah, well, so you have to figure out what you're comfortable with in terms of how much you're just gonna let them dictate versus how much you're gonna push them,
Right.
you know, and get comfortable with that place. Or maybe you do a whole different kind of advertising and start your own thing.
Or maybe that's why they hired her.
Yeah, but the sense that I get is that you're frustrated.
Yeah.
But they don't like to hear it.
No, it's because she's very authentic. Like
Yeah.
you know, you get people, you want things to be authentic, and like advertising's like,
Yes.
yeah, no, we're just gonna do the market research and yada 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 da, and we're gonna package it this way. Maybe there's a kernel of something in there, but you want it to be.
Yeah.
So you got, that's a little
Dig
bit more,
deeper.
a little bit of more of a soul searching, or or just become at peace with this is the job.
Yeah.
But you don't wanna make yourself suffer over and over again.
Yeah.
So you either have to get to a place of peace with that, or try to do something different. thought no one was gonna be here tonight. I mean, this afternoon, you're really important to me, I like it. All right, let me just see if I have any other notes here, stuff that we didn't get, Right, so obviously this is gonna help you in your job search. Oh, you guys know Gary Vee. Talk about being authentic, right? So, do you guys know who he is? I only know Gary. Okay, so Gary Vee, he's all over social media. Gary Vaynerchuk Media. He's
How do you spell his last name?
V. It's exactly how it sounds. V-A-Y, Vay, Ner, N-E-R, Chuck. C-H-U-K. But he brands himself as Gary Vee now. V-E-E. You know, he's all about, if you want to get like inspired with authenticity, I mean, he drops F-bombs all the time, and like, you know, I mean, that's really his thing. So actually, maybe you should look into working for VaynerMedia. Serious. He's big, he's like a billionaire.com dude. So, yeah, what did he, I gotta say, like, don't try to be a giraffe if you're a penguin. Like, just don't try to do it, you know? Even like me, this talk, like, the reason why I even do this talk, which is why I never really know what it is, because it's always a little different, you know, I'm a coach for New York Women in Communications, and so they do, for many, many years, I've been a coach for them, and they do this Nights of the Round Table coaching evening, and this is New York Women in Communications. These are professional women in the communications industry. They asked me, for some reason, to do the branding table, okay? And I'm just like, this was years ago, and I'm like, there's a whole organization of women that do this for a living, and they're asking me, which I started a nonprofit organization, I have some like, organically, I understand branding on a lot of levels, but I'm not anywhere like a professional in that field. So instead of saying no, I don't think I'm the right person for that, or trying to fudge it, right, because I could probably fudge it a little bit, I said, well, actually, I said, how about we do authentic branding, letting the real you shine in every situation, because that, to my strengths, I know what I do. I was like, I could do this. They're like, oh yeah, great. And sure enough, it was like, well, you know, it was a great table. People loved it, and that became my talk. That was like 10 years ago. But my point of sharing that story is make the situation fit you, right? When you know your strengths, and an opportunity comes, maybe you're not exactly the right fit, but see if you can make it fit to you. So always try to, you know, don't try to be like the square peg fitting in the round hole, like make the round hole square to fit you. You never know, and what's the worst that they could do? Say no, who cares, right, that's the worst. So yeah, so obviously for work, and you know, again, who's super successful? Oprah Winfrey, Rachel Ray, Dr. Oz, Rachel Maddow, Jimmy Fallon, Kevin Hart. Like all these people are like super authentic, right? That's how their brand is who they are, right? So yeah, your health, right? All your relationships will get better when you're more authentic. Because remember, when you're more connected to yourself, it's easier to connect to other people. Someone wants to have a relationship with you, not your persona, right? You know. Your health, like I said, when you repress the parts of yourself that don't get repressed, you get crazy, you get migraines, you get cancer, you get all sorts of things. Okay, so art. So, but then there's people, right? Then there's like Lady Gaga, Madonna, Dolly Parton, right? Who they've created various personas, right? But that's very conscious, right? It's a very conscious thing in their art, right? So maybe that's what you want to do, maybe not, but know the difference, right? Know the difference. There's a great, if you guys go to my Instagram, this is not a ploy just to get you to go there, but feel free to like or, you know, whatever on my social media, but on my Instagram, I have a clip of Dolly Parton from like, I don't know, Barbara Walters is pretty young, so it's probably like the 70s or something, being interviewed, and she talks about, she's like, I know who I am. She's like, all this stuff is whatever, but I know in my heart who I am, and this is just all a game. And you guys gotta watch it. It really goes well with this talk. So she's like, I'm very real where it I like the person I am because I'm secure with myself, so I can play with all this stuff. You see the difference? That's very conscious. Rather than trying to be this thing just because that's what she thinks other people are gonna accept. Yeah, you see the difference. Don't compare, right? Don't compare. Comparison is the thief of joy. So it's better to live your destiny imperfectly than to live a life of imitation, than to live an imitation of someone else's life with perfection. Let me read that again.
Yes.
It is better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live an imitation of someone else's life with perfection. Let that sink in. That's the Bhagavad Gita. Compare yourself to your yesterday, not someone else's today. That's a big one. Stay in your movie, okay? Your movie, your lane. Don't look at anybody else's movie. They're at different parts in their movie. You're in your part of your movie, so you can't compare. Okay? So we all have our unique path. You know, you just have to just go for it. And yeah, and then I have this whole thing about we can't become a nation of sheep. We must wake up. I must have been in a very fiery mood when I wrote this. So again, to just, this is where we're at. This is about co-creating a new reality for ourselves. So what part are you going to play in that? And the part that you have to start with is yourself. Right? And then when you know what that part is, then it's like, how am I contributing to my immediate world, my community, and then maybe even beyond that. So, and then the best quote that I have is, and then we're done, is I was watching Conan one night, and Deepak Chopra, you guys all know Deepak Chopra, was on Conan, and he had just been in Las Vegas, so Conan goes, I hear, you've just been, in Vegas, like, how was that? Like Deepak Chopra in Vegas, and Deepak Chopra, with the most serious, like, Deepak Chopra-ness, which I can't really do very well, he goes, Conan, he's like, well, because Vegas is the most spiritual place on the planet. Right? And Conan's like, yeah, everybody laughs. And he goes, no. He goes, it does not pretend to be anything it is not. And I was like, oh my gosh. Right? Just got goosebumps. This gets me every time. It does not pretend to be anything that it's not. So therefore, Las Vegas is the most spiritual place. I will drop the mic right now. So I have, I really thought I was going to be easy today, but thank you. All right. So I have some handouts for you for some tips and some not enough evaluation forms for everyone because I think this is so full. But I also have, so I want you to think about, because you can go back out into reality and so forth and so on. And I want you to think about, first of all, I should probably pitch my stuff. So you can work with me one-on-one. If you sign up today, you can get a discount in working with me. I do group coaching. The most important thing is to get on my mailing list because then you find out like all the stuff that I'm doing, when I'm going to be back here, if I'm doing other stuff, if I have little sales or whatever. I have a book. So my book's $20, or you can get it on Amazon. It's a compilation of 131 essays. So the emails that I send out every week are personal growth essays. People tend to like them. If you don't, you can unsubscribe, that's fine, but that's how you find out about all my stuff. But the first 5 years, I put together a compilation of all those essays. You can take it out of the library, you can get it on Amazon. There's some articles there. But I want you to remember something today. Maybe it's like one of those adjectives that you really want to work on. So, Miss Juanda, what's your adjective going to be?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What's your takeaway?
Leader.
I am a leader, okay?
Thank you.
So think about what you want to really remember. And so I have these little doodads for you, like little spheres, little touchstones that you can carry with you so that when you look at that thing, so you remember what you got from this talk that you want to hold on to and remember. Okay? So take one and pass it down. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a good evening.